Devin Haney says he's not overlooking Lomachenko in sights of a Gervonta Davis showdown. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, the big homie, Devin Haney, has a fight coming up real soon with him and Vasily Lomachenko. And it seems like all the focus is not on Loma, but is on the potential of a Gervonta Davis and or a Shakur Stevens showdown in the near future. Me personally, I'm not giving Loma much of a shot to win this fight based off of his dealings with Bob Arum and how I know Bob Arum does older fighters once he's pretty much done with them.
A map to the treasure. The war that you know you want to win, especially if you fight for love. Getting with people that you know that have armies, that are smart thinkers, that want solutions, can't lose. It's just a matter of when you win.
So I think a lot of people feel like Loma doesn't have a shot at beating Devin Haney. So I don't feel like it's just Devin overlooking Lomachenko. I feel like everybody's overlooking Loma in hopes that we get the big fights that we want to see. Even though Loma's a big fight still, I just don't see him having very much of a shot at beating Devin Haney at this point, unfortunately. And the big fight everybody wants to see, I think it's split between Gervonta and Shakur for some reason. I don't understand why people have Shakur so high on their list when he's not tested at 135. You know, Gervonta and Devin have much more solid resumes at 135 pounds. So I would think that people would more than likely want to see Devin Haney versus Gervonta Davis, not Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevens just yet. Now, if he was to fight Gervonta and beat Gervonta, of course, Shakur is going to be the next name up. But he might move on, move up to 140, and then Josh Taylor will most likely be the next name up. But if he fought Gervonta and beat Gervonta, everybody's going to clamor for him to fight Shakur Stevens. And I don't think there's much of a shot for him sticking around to fight Shakur Stevens if he fought Gervonta. I think it's going to be one or the other. I feel like it's more likely going to be Shakur than Gervonta, because I don't think he wants to take the risk with Gervonta of being knocked out. If he gets knocked out, that's going to damage his credibility, his ability to move up. I think Shakur is a challenge, but I think he beats Shakur Stevens at this point. Now, if Shakur had more experience as a 135-pound fighter, I might think a little different, but it's the same as Ryan Garcia to me. It's like you're a newcomer basically to this because Ryan moved up and wasn't really campaigning at 135. So it was like him, being a newcomer to the division again, not being able to carry the weight well and not being able to take punches well at 135. So I feel the same way about Shakur. There's things that go on within this division that he's not prepared for just yet. And putting him in with the elite of the elite guys, I think would set him up to have a pretty bad career, because I think Devin would beat him and Devin would move on to 140. And what happens to Shakur then? Does he go try to fight Gervonta, perhaps get beat again by Gervonta Davis? I mean, I feel like but all these guys are going to be at 140 here soon, so they might as well wait it out till they get to 140. But I think there's a possibility of one matchup now that Devin Haney has come out and said he would stick around for one of those fights. Not both, but one of those fights. So potentially it would be the Shakur Stevens fight and not Gervonta. But if it was Gervonta, I think Devin would lose. And then what? Does he still move up, or does he stay at 135 and try to avenge himself? More than likely what'll happen is he'll fight Loma. Everybody's overlooking Loma once again. Beat Loma and he'll move on. Potentially, he'll, court Shakur Stevens for a fight, a little bit. But I don't think it'll actually happen. I think he'll eventually, hold the titles for a few months, then drop them and move to 140. Because I think Josh Taylor has a fight with Teofimo Lopez here coming up at 140. And if he was to beat Teofimo and, remain at 140 for at least one more fight instead of moving to 147, I think most likely Devin Haney would be his next fight up. I don't see anybody else getting to move into that slot. I definitely see Devin Haney and Josh Taylor getting it on within the next year. I think it's an inevitability, especially if Devin Haney remains undefeated.
Being a soldier, you being true to yourself and you making things happen. You taking care of your family, you taking care of your responsibilities. You making your world into a better world.
Listen, I don't think Devin Haney has a great career if he loses to Shakur or Gervinta this early. Now, if they drag this out a little longer, it's not going to do nothing but make fans more interested in it. As long as they don't get too old, similar to the Spence Crawford situation. I think those guys have to get it on here pretty soon because the fight's going to get aged out and nobody's going to want to watch it if both of those guys are really old and, the skills are starting to degrade. It's been almost a year since we've seen Errol Spence in the ring, and we don't know what we're going to get when Earl gets back. I think it's already past the time he was supposed to fight Keith Thurman. I haven't heard anything about the Keith Thurman fight. I'm not sure if that's actually happening anymore or not, or is he just preparing for Terrence Crawford, a late announcement for the Terrence Crawford fight. We don't know yet, but I do feel like if those guys wait too long, they're going to age themselves out of what could have been a historic fight, a high dollar making fight, something similar to what Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis just did. And I feel definitely that Devin Haney beats Loma. We're going to see another super fight this year, and it might be Devin Haney versus Gervonta, but more than likely it'll be Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevens and not Gervonta. I don't know who else Gervonta fights, at 135 if Devin Haney actually does duck him and pick Shakur Stevens that I'm thinking of. I actually feel like he's going to duck Gervonta, fight Shakur, and then move to 140. Earl Spence and Crawford could have set a heck of a precedent for the sport by making their super fight the first fight, but I think the Gervonta Davis-Ryan Garcia was the pinnacle of super fights for the past 2 years. It was a great event. We got the high impact fight that everybody wanted, and I think Gervonta and Devin, they're most likely not going to get it on, and I'm basing that off the fact that who's going to be the A side in that fight. It's going to be a huge argument about the A side. I just don't think that they'll be able to make it happen before Devin finally feels like he needs to move up to 140. So it's not like that fight would be hard to make. It would be very, very easy to make, and you wouldn't have to deal with the A-side, B-side conversation. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. Is Devin Haney overlooking Lomachenko in hopes of a Shakur Stevens or a Gervonta Tank Davis fight, or is he fully focused on just that fight and moving up to 140 pounds for a big showdown with Josh Taylor? Hit that like button for me. Share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, feel free to hit my Gmail. It is flockofcards@gmail.com. Once again, that's flockofcards@gmail.com. And we are live.
Louis Keys, KY cutthroat, rolling up thumb, blowing smoke like a tugboat. If you know me, then you know I get my rep on. Big nasty green, I'm trying to get my Shrek on. Blue gun rack for me, just hit my tech on. Blue guillotine for you to sit your neck on. Acting like a chick, you should probably have a dress on. High heels and wig, makeup and press on. See me in the club, I'm getting my two-step on. Bottle in my hand, I can use as a weapon. If you're out of order and getting your disrespect on, what's a hot track? Anything I put my breath on. Now when they heard this, everybody gon' feel it. Work in the back, make the car pop a willy. When I first dropped, they was acting all silly. Now I'm on fire, everybody gon' feel it. It's your boy Key, tell them who they dealing with. It's your boy Key, tell them who they dealing with. It's your boy Key, it's your boy Key, it's your boy Key, it's your boy Key. Now hating on me, anything I stand for, that's suicide like doors on the Lambo. Come through deep, that's how you get your man smoked. Try and give me that, that's how you get your hand broke. You out of line, you hate that we cold. I'm on the grind, I'm making the dough. Shorty low, her booty is scraping the floor. She don't know that I'm taping it though. I'm undefeated, I'm 80-0. They say I got a unhateable flow, and you know I gotta agree. You been heard for a block away, gotta be key. Now when they heard this, everybody gon' feel it. Work in the back, make the car pop a willy. When I first dropped, they was acting all silly. Now I'm on fire, everybody gon' feel it. It's your boy Key, tell them who they dealing with. It's your boy Key, tell them who they dealing with. It's your boy Key, it's your boy Key, it's your boy Key, it's your boy Key. Everybody gon' feel it. Make the car pop a willy. They was acting all silly. Now I'm on fire, everybody gon' feel it.